Good afternoon, 512 City. I'm here with Dale Brown. Dale leads a ministry called Texas Reach Out, and so excited about what they do. And more significantly, this afternoon, Dale's story of making a difference in the lives of people and what we can learn from him to be the light as we're going through the series at 512 called Illuminate Austin. And we're looking at what could the light of Jesus being bright in the book of Acts, what could that look like if the Holy Spirit did through us what the Holy Spirit did through the apostles in the book of Acts? So, Dale, it's great to have you with us this afternoon. Thank you for joining me as we have this discussion with 512 City.
I'm glad to be here, Yuri. Appreciate the invitation, my friend.
Well, before we get into some of the more personal stuff and some of the things people can learn from you, in a nutshell, what does Texas Reach Out do?
At Texas Reach Out Ministries, we provide transitional housing for Christian men and women coming out of prison in order to help them be successful on their re-entry. And that's an extremely huge challenge, to be in prison and come out and re-enter this world successfully, mostly because they have a felony conviction, and that a felony just lives with you the rest of your life, unfortunately.
Wow.
That makes it hard to get a job, makes it hard to do a lot of things. So we do everything we can to provide those services. And the residences, we have 8 different houses that our guys can come and stay in and give them a great place of nurturing, encouragement, Bible study, Christian witness, and then all the practical things that it takes to make it in life. That's awesome ministry. I love it.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting that you guys are doing something for people in society that we sometimes conveniently want to forget about, right? We want to conveniently shun to the side. And you guys are right there in there answering the difficult questions. But what motivated you, Dale? Why are you making a difference in that way in our city?
I would say I have to go back to my call between junior and senior high school. I was a member of Hyde Park Baptist Church right here in Austin. We had a very dynamic youth group. And at one of those church camps, a Baptist church camp, then God just called me. There's no quibbling about it. He said, "This is what you're going to do. This is where you're going to go to school." And that was 41 years ago. And I've been through some difficult times, and especially in the last few years. And the way God got me through those was to pull me back to that call and say, this call I gave to you to help people, to love me and help people. This call defines you. This is what your life is about. So a lot of other things can change in your life, God told me, but the call doesn't. And this is the way you want to.
That's beautiful. Love God and love people, right? That's it.
It's the Jesus bumper sticker, man, on the back of the chariot, so what can you say?
I love it, man. Sometimes the bumper stickers knows best.
They are. I'm not sure that lawyer thought so, but Jesus did.
So tell me this, Dale. I mean, as you're living out this call, I mean, you're doing it in an extraordinary way, right? I mean, having these houses, inviting these people in, helping them transition from prison life to normal life. I'm sure people don't always want to be helped. I'm sure sometimes people are engaged and they, at least through their actions, they might say with their words they want to be helped, but they don't act as if they want to be helped. And I'm sure a lot of people listening today might be in a space with people in their lives where they're having the same struggle, right? They know they need help. They know how to help them. They want to help them. And people might agree to it with lip service, but in reality, they don't necessarily do it. How have you loved people into being helped? How have you been able to journey with people through the space, and what's worked for you guys?
Well, I think I mean, related to just the issue of sometimes people not wanting your help or actually causing trouble as you try to help them. I would have to go back to my mom as a young pastor. I would come home very frustrated with my church or people in the church, and she'd say, "You remember, you are serving God, not those people." And so when it comes to people, all of us are very broken, and we all are come every day to everything with a lot of mixed motives and issues that we have to somehow let God fix. With the men and women in our program, they have to be Christians when they come, So they apply in prison, and that part of the application is their testimony. And if they don't have a strong testimony, they're not getting in, because it's hard enough, even if you have that strong testimony.
Sure.
But they, like all of us, they come into the Christian faith as broken vessels that are hopefully on the way. But we try our best to help them. We offer these services, and if they don't take it, then those outcomes are just left to God. I also know that we're just part of a journey in people's lives. We may be that one touch spot in this part of their journey, and then later on that what we did may encourage them down the way. And my own journey is like that. I've been up and down and here and there, and so I know that I've not been nice to people at times, but they're patient with me, and then later that catches up with my life, and they've shaped and formed me. I just, I think in Christian, when you're helping people, it cannot be a transactional, a popular word of the last 5 years, right? and it can't be quid pro quo.
Yeah.
When it comes to the quid pro quo, our quid toward God is tiny, and the quo from God is huge. So we just exhibit the same thing.
That's beautiful, Dale. And I love the principles here, because I think they apply to what you do, but they apply to the people I want to help, right? So number one, I'm serving God. I'm not serving people. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it for God and not for people. And number two, just keep on loving them through it. And remember that they're on a journey, and whether you take them, from 1 to 2 or 9 to 10, just move them in the right direction. I think that is beautiful. And then thirdly, you can only help those who want to be helped, and put your energy where there's an invitation for that energy to do something. So also, I'm sure you've had to draw certain boundaries at certain times, where you've come to a point where you say, within these boundaries I can help you, but beyond these boundaries I can't help you. And I think sometimes people struggle with that, with family members, or even somebody in their own life that might struggle with addiction, or somebody that keeps on going back to those things. What can you teach us about drawing those right boundaries and helping others?
Well, related to the ministry we do, then it is, the boundaries are absolutely clear, because we have super strict rules. We are clean and sober, and so we will random drug test, and if you test positive, you're out. I mean, that's just the way it is. We also have a lot of rules about doing chores, and they have to go to 2 Bible studies, one on Tuesday night, Thursday night, then on Sunday they have to go to church. So it's like it's a very restrictive environment, and the boundaries are super clear. And if they violate those boundaries, well, then they are evicted from the program, which is a hard thing to do. But at the same time, to not draw the clear boundaries with sobriety introduces non-sobriety into our homes, and it puts others at risk. And to introduce discord and stuff into the homes also puts others at risk. So for us, it's probably easier in the sense that our boundaries are written out. They sign literally a contract with us with very clear boundaries. I think it's probably harder if you're helping somebody with kind of fuzzy or amorphous boundaries. When is this person using me? And we all get used, right? And we use others, but when is this not helpful to them? I think we have to have a strong core. What is our skeleton? What are the core beliefs that we have? When does loving God and loving people when does not loving God and loving people cross a boundary that's not helpful to them? It's tough. I mean, it's easy for us because our boundaries are black and white. But if you're a parent, or you're a Bible study leader trying to help somebody with addiction, it's not such a structured environment.
But you are putting down a couple of good points, right? So people say you've got to be cruel to be kind. I prefer the statement. Sometimes you've got to be clear to be kind, right? So
I like that. Yes,
clear. Need that clarity, right? You need that clarity. You refer to a backbone, and sometimes in our efforts to help, we don't help. We empower wrong behavior.
Yes.
So I think that's very good that you set those clear rules, and it might not be as strict as but there's got to be boundaries. Otherwise, in your efforts to help, you're enabling people to continue in the wrong path. And I mean, if I've learned one thing from raising kids, is that actually clear boundaries creates a lot of security for your kids, because they know if I step over this boundary, this is going to be the result. So if it's the same every time, then that boundary becomes a safety around them.
It really does. We all want those boundaries and we kick against them, but they do provide security for us. I do have some concerns in the current Christian climate, especially when it comes to helping others. The idea that I need balance in my life and peace in my life. And I like what Carrie Newhoff says: don't go for balance, go for passion. And Christian service is going to mean sacrifice. It's going to be uncomfortable. So if helping someone makes you uncomfortable, that doesn't mean that you or somebody else has violated some imaginary boundary. It just means you're serving people, and it's going to be tough and inconvenient and hard sometimes. Boundaries need to be drawn.
So good, Dale. Because I'm struggling to find Bible characters that I would describe as being balanced. Right? They're not balanced.
That's true. Yes, they're all out of balance.
They're all out of balance. They're all passionate. They're all sold out. They're all uncomfortable. They all go through hardships. And somehow in our society, we've made anything difficult is the enemy, or anything uncomfortable is the enemy, where actually that's the only space we grow, is when we step out of our comfort zone. And it's the only way we make a difference, is when we step beyond our comfort zone into what is uncomfortable and hard, but the results is so much better. What gives you joy? What are some of the? I mean, we in this series of interviews, I've got the privilege of speaking to all these bright lights, right? These people that are really making an extraordinary difference in our city, and that's a compliment, by the way. But what has been some of the stories or some of the moments that's really made you feel like, man, this was hard, this was difficult, but it was so worth it? And I know there's people out there right now that's engaging this conversation, that's watching us live or watching this later, and they're finding themselves in a space where they're essentially asking the question: is it worth it? Is it worth the sacrifice? Is it worth stepping out of our comfort zone to share the gospel? Is it worth risking rejection or it not working out or whatever? What are some of the stories that's helped you when it hasn't felt quite worth it?
Well, I do think Hebrews 12 really gives us our goal there, which is to follow Christ and his example. And I think our people sometimes ask that question, what am I going to get out of this? And that's a short-term question. When if we couch it in terms of long-term, again, it's in helping people is not transactional. If you're looking for something from people, this is exactly sort of the way the world works, but the kingdom doesn't work that way. It works like, okay, I'm going to give to you, and whether I get something back for you, we're going to stay connected. But I would say, just in this work that is done at Texas Reach Out, and I would have to give credit to our founders, Margie and David Pena, who started this ministry 21 years ago. I'm brand new to it. So this is not my baby. This is David and Margie's baby, and they have nurtured this thing through a lot of stuff. I love David and Margie. They're amazing. And their stories are way better than mine, because I'm brand new to this. I have a lot of ministry stories, but I would have to say that every time that we pick up somebody from the bus station, so inmates, they fill out an application, we review it. We only accept 40% of the applications to us. We're picky. But then they come, they get released on parole, and they come to the bus station, which is a little place that is not a great place, the Austin bus station. But when we pick them up, and we have, Margie picks them up, or our men's manager picks them up, and occasionally I do. But when you're with somebody who just got out of prison after 8 or 10 years, they are so excited, and they're also terrified. So they'll get in our cars, and they didn't expect to be greeted. Sometimes they don't know, what's awaiting them. They don't know if they're going to be on the streets. They've heard about us and they applied to us, and we told them we'd be there, but there's a lot of broken promises in prison. So, trust is not there. But when we yell out their name, and when they're coming off that bus, and we greet them and hug them as brothers and sisters in Christ, they are just bowled over. And then just having in the car and listening to them, talk about how awesome it is so far. I can't believe somebody met us here. And then we take them to their home, which is a physical home, and they get a real mattress this thick, not this thick as they had in prison. They get air conditioning, and they get a welcome from our residents who are already there. We've taught them how to welcome them into this ministry, and for them, this is a completely different environment. And all that is that we get them a welcome bundle, which is put together by our volunteers. they get a big old bag I think it's Bible, devotional, bedding, pillows. And if they stay one day, they get to keep it. It's theirs. And they haven't had anything that's theirs. So all that is just love. It's love. And I tell them, I said, people have sacrificed probably $1.5 million over 20 years. Hundreds of volunteers have painted these houses. They have refloored them. They have roofed them because they love you. And I guarantee you that love is what makes the difference. And when I get to be there, and sometimes when they come on board with us and they are overwhelmed with that love. And that's what really makes, we have big old guys that come out that are twice as big as I am, could smush me like a bug, but they're so thrilled and so overwhelmed with just the love of so many people over the years that have made this moment possible for them. And that is, for me, I tear up when I'm with them, and I tear up when I tell the story. So it's a pretty amazing moment. It really is.
That's awesome, Dale. And what a privilege it is for 512 City Church and other churches in the city to be able to partner with you guys as you do this incredible job in the city. And we're grateful that we get to pour in a little bit of that love that you get to pour out to them. But I so celebrate that. But I also celebrate the fact that every day, and maybe this is the theme of our conversation here, but it's love God and love people. Every day we have an opportunity to love on those around us, right? Every day we get to be that hug, to be that sacrifice, to make that difference, to buy that lunch, to go sit down with that guy that looks down, to just be love to people and see that transform who they are.
I think right now with the church, with its reputation that it has, which is more like the reputation it has always had in Christian history, that we are in an environment that doesn't like us or want us here. The only thing that makes a difference is love. And through my 40 years of ministry, I'd say working with different churches, in the end, the only thing that will attract people to Christ is love that does not expect something in return, and a love that also sticks with people. Because in our culture, as we get more isolated, it's so easy to just get in our little bubbles. And this is a real crisis right now with loneliness and everything. But if we can learn how to love people, express that love in an untrusting environment, and then stick with people over the long haul, that's the way the early church did it. And that's the way
that makes the difference, right?
Today. Yep.
Yeah. Somebody once expressed it like this. They said, if a martyr is being killed, and when they strike him the first time, he responds with "I love you," and all the way to the last time, just before they die from being struck, which "I love you" is the strongest, right?
Yes, that's true.
The last one, right?
And that's right. That's perfect.
Sometimes we need to remember that our "I love you" gets stronger with every stroke.
Yes,
with every bit of opposition, our "I love you," "I care for you," I want to be there for you" gets stronger and stronger as time goes on. And we might feel beaten down by being rejected or not working the way we like, but it's not transactional. I love that. It's not pro quo. It's not transactional. It's not I do and you do back. It's I do unconditionally. And the reason we can love unconditionally is because we've been loved first. We've been loved unconditionally. Therefore, we can love unconditionally out of the abundance of that.
Yeah, we definitely, our vertical relationship with God and identity from God allows us to have the security to love someone without condition, because we're getting all the love we need from God. And that's a daily inpouring. And it also allows us to take the hits back, because it's not our skin in the game. It's not my ego that's at stake here. God can defend himself. And so I'm just an ambassador, sharing the message of the King. It's hard to do, I wish I could do it better, because I get pretty riled up sometimes, but when we do that well, then the church really shines. And there's no better time for the church to shine right now. This is a moment that the church can just radically love, just like the early church. And that will be so attractive in a place that's so lonely and fragmented and full of anger and hate. This radical love is just the perfect place for the church to be positioned. I'm optimistic about the church in America. If we can get our heads out of the sand and start putting feet to our prayers and taking the shots.
It's a great opportunity for the church to emerge from consumerism into truly being the church, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It starts with us just being with God and getting that center, that foundation of our relationship with him. And then we have that to pour to others. And that really makes a huge difference. You're exactly right. When everywhere around us, people are hurting and they just need somebody to sit down with them and hear their story. I love hearing people's stories, man. Sometimes you go, I'm glad I didn't have that happen to me. It can help you. As a pastor, you're just like that. You go, I heard some bad ones today. But such an awesome.
As a church, we're all about people telling stories of Jesus changing lives through them. That's the vision of our church, and our hope with these interviews during the series was that we would interview some people that have stories that will encourage us that our story can make a difference in the lives of others. And Dale, thank you so much. You've done that. You've inspired us. Your heart, your calling, the ministry that you're a part of is an inspiration for us, and every day with the people we meet, to love God and to unconditionally love those around us. So thank you for taking this time to be with me this afternoon and be with us this afternoon. But maybe just as we wrap up, Dale, how can people get involved? Where can people go if they want more information about your ministry? What can they do?
The best place is our website, texasreachout.org. So texasreachout.org. And there's a get involved button on there. And basically, we do 2 Bible studies a night. Those are usually led by lay people. We do have a need for a couple of men teachers to come on board and be in our homes on Tuesday or Thursday night. And then we have a need for men mentors. We'd like to pair up our male residents. We have 26 male residents. We'd like to pair each of them with a man. And then we also have opportunities for churches to come in and do mission. We've had 5 mission groups come in all this year, and they've done all kinds of work, from repairing fences to putting down flooring to remodeling. There's always those kinds of opportunities as well. And we always have needs for men's clothes, because these guys come out of prison with nothing basically, and they love to put on some great clothes. And that's an ongoing need that we have, and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a great ministry. It's a great place to see lives change or not. It's pretty. It's kind of cut or dry, as things are going to go well or not. And that's
isn't that the nature of unconditional love? We don't always know the outcome, but that doesn't stop us from doing good, right?
Yeah, you just try it and do what God wants you to, and leave outcomes up to him and to the free choice of the people that you're helping. So
absolutely
appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, it's been great spending time with you, Dale. Thank you so much for making this time to minister to us, and we look forward to, as a church, continue to partner with you guys and contribute in whatever way we can, so that the Book of Acts might be a reality in the lives of the people of Austin. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us, those of you that joined us live and those that would watch this later. This Sunday, we continue our series on Illuminate Austin as we journey through the Book of Acts. Thank you for being with us.